Hello, this is Philip Cargom. It is Monday, the 4th of February. It's 8 o'clock in the evening in apparently the depths of winter, but it's not really the depths of winter. It's just the time of Imbolc when the very first signs of spring are occurring. So it's lovely to see you here. Oh, the little bubbles and hearts and things are flying across the screen, so it's great to see you here. Do say where you're from if you feel like it. There was always this strange moment just before you press the button to go live, where you're sitting on your own, and you're undeniably on your own, sitting in a room somewhere, and then you press a button, and it goes 3, 2, 1, and suddenly you know that you're connected in this wonderful pattern across the earth. Extraordinary feeling. So I hope you can hear me. I'm not seeing any comments coming up, so do type in something just so I know that you can hear me and that you're there. That would be great. And I want to begin this session by thanking my friends Matt, JJ, and Adrian for having held the fort, having kept the teapot warm over the last 3 weeks, for doing your great contributions. So thank you guys, that was really wonderful. And over the coming weeks and months, I hope to invite more Druids to come and hold a tea session. So I've been in New Zealand these last few weeks, right on the other side of the earth, and it really has been quite extraordinary. We had just the most fabulous time. A wonderful group of people from mainly Australia and New Zealand, but of course some of those people had moved to those countries years before. So real gathering together in a beautiful spot in the summertime, of course, as it is there. And every night we held I Stead for Down, we sang and made music and listened to stories. It was poetry, just wonderful. So a big hello to any of you who were there. It was so magical to be with you. And of course we celebrated there. I think there's something wrong with my system here because I can't see any of your comments. So if I'm not responding to you, that's the reason why. But I can see the little thumbs up signs and heart signs bubbling up. So I kind of know you're there. So I'm going to keep going. So here we go. So in New Zealand, it was the time of Lunasa, the other side of the world, the southern hemisphere. And it was wonderful to celebrate that with an extraordinary wheel with sparklers attached to it, spinning, that was taken around the circle, with people dressed as bees and bakers. It was really fabulous. Flew back, and now I find myself a few days later on the Tomp in Lewis, celebrating Imbolc. Chill winds blasting through us, but a lovely smattering of snow on the hillsides around. And sometimes how there's just one or two things that stand out in, when somebody's died and moved on, and you just remember them for just certain things they said. And one of the things that I remember so well from Nguyen was when I was young, so I was probably 16 then, something like that, and he started to teach me about the festivals. And he said, of course, Imbolc is the first spring festival. And it had never occurred to me that that February the 1st, February the 2nd could be have anything to do with the spring. But he pointed, of course, to the snowdrops, which are starting to come out. We've got masses of them in the lane up here, which is just fantastic. And I realized, and I never forgot that, this kind of attention to detail in nature, where you may be freezing and you may be thinking you're in the middle of winter, but just look around and you will see some signs that things are shifting and changing. So in Druidry, we have 3 festivals associated with each season. And that's part of the mystery of Druidry, which I won't go into now, how you have 4 seasons, 3 festivals. How come there aren't 12 festivals? No, there are 8. There's a very special reason why, but we'll leave that for another time. So spring has 3 festivals: Imbolc, beginning of February, the spring equinox, 21st, 22nd of March, and Beltane, Beltane on the 1st of May or thereabouts. And so this is the first spring festival. And I tell you what it makes me think of when you see the snowdrops, is they symbolize so beautifully the quality of hope. Those tiny little flowers growing out of the cold soil, maybe even out of the snow, as they were the other day when the snow was in the lane, symbolize that incredible way in which hope is both strong and fragile. We tend to think that you can't have fragility and strength in the same phenomenon, but you can actually. You can have both of these happening at the same time. And the snowdrop symbolizes that beautifully, because it's this fragile little flower that's growing up. And yet think of the strength it needs and the determination, as it were, to break out of this icy cold soil into the light. And hope, as Viktor Frankl, the psychologist, and others have pointed to, is an absolutely vital dynamic or quality that we need in our lives. When we lose hope, we start to go downhill. We go downhill physically and we go downhill emotionally, which is why it's so important to give people hope. Why visiting sick people, visiting people who are sad or are going through difficulties in life, however small that hope is, it's important to foster that. Which leads me to this interesting question. I've called the conversation this evening the beauty of fostering, because hope needs fostering. It's like a little flame that needs encouragement. And this is precisely the spirit of this time of year, is fostering, encouragement, nurturing, protection. This is why Imbolc is a festival of the goddess. This is why Brigid, or bride, or bridie, presides over this festival. In the Hebrides, she's known as the foster mother of Christ. So this idea of fostering is really powerful, and it's considered a highly important and sacred activity, the whole concept in the Celtic tradition. Nowadays, we think of fostering as a means of last resort when a family is unsuitable or has broken up in some way, and foster parents need to be found for children. But in the old days, fostering was a standard procedure, and it was considered an important part of taking care of a child's education and development. And psychologists talk about the 4 F's, the basic drives we have of feeding, fleeing, fighting, and making love. But I actually think that there are 5 F's. We are driven by 5 F's, because the desire to foster, I find, in virtually everyone. The desire to take care, to nurture, to help grow, to be of use, to heal, to help, to aid, to comfort, to give succor, to protect, is a natural tendency that I think is human and that we all possess. And this is why the caring professions are attractive to so many people. This is why so many people train to be healers. This is why so many people want to be of use in the world. And this is a quality, an aspect of ourselves that is important as all the other aspects. And it needs nurturing and needs cultivating. And spiritual discipline does cultivate that. It's as if those other qualities are perhaps of a different order. Fostering is of another order than certainly fighting and fleeing. It's of another order, and it needs cultivating. And spiritual traditions and spiritual discipline helps to cultivate the ability and the capacity to foster. And what the idea evokes for me, which is particularly relevant at this time, is when you go outside. I mean, today was a particularly hot, the weekend was beautiful, sunshine and snow on the hills. We went walking up to Firle Beacon and it was just extraordinary. But today was particularly horrible, raining, cold, windy. And it's analogous, I think, analogous to the way we can perceive reality around us. The political, social, economic, ecological situations that are around us that seem so intransigent, so difficult to resolve, so gloomy and so dark. And yet, there are signs of hope. There are individuals and there are groups that are being of value in the world. And like that wonderful story about the old man who goes down to the beach and finds that the tide has gone out, leaving lots of starfish stranded on the beach, dying. And there's a little girl who's throwing one starfish at a time back into the water. And he goes up to her and he says, what are you doing? And she said, well, I'm saving this starfish. And he said, well, how can this possibly make a difference? There are thousands of starfish here. And she just looks at him in the eye, holds the starfish up and says, well, it certainly makes a difference to this one, and throws it back into the water. And that's, I think, the attitude to adopt. And that is the attitude of hope. And so let's use this as a theme for our meditation. Let's, if you're willing, to do a meditation. If you don't feel like it, you can just listen and then watch it again later. But here we go. So each of us, all over the world. I'm not seeing the comments, so I don't know where you're from, but usually in these evenings there are people all over the world tuning in. We're sitting, looking at a screen, apparently separate. But if we close our eyes, it's possible to sense that at some other level of reality, we're meeting together in a place that we could imagine as the sacred grove of the Druids, a clearing in the forest that is a place of safety, of communion with the divine, of connecting with the beauties of nature. And so, tuning into this place, we become aware, first of all, of the earth beneath us. And we allow ourselves to feel supported by the earth, strengthened by the earth. We can feel its healing energy, its slow rhythm. We can allow our tensions accumulated during the day just to slip away into the earth so that we feel clear and rested, sitting here on the earth with the trees around us. And we sense these trees rooted deeply in the earth. We feel the strength of their trunks. We feel their spirits, the spirits of our brothers and sisters, the trees around us. And we breathe in their perfume, the essential oils that they exude from their leaves, that we breathe in deeply, bringing us health and vitality. And we look up and we see the branches high in the sky. And we see the sky and sense the energy of the sky. And we allow the energy of the sky to flow into our beings so that the energy of the sky meets the energy of the earth within the center of our beings. And now imagine that there's a light dusting of snow on the floor of the grove. So there's this beautiful dusting of snow, and you may find it being reflected in the moonlight and starlight, or reflected in the sunlight. And there, just ahead of you, you can see a little group of snowdrops growing out of the snow. And you may see this clearly, or you may just sense it. You can just imagine it or pretend it's there if you don't see things clearly. Just believe it's there. And there are these snowdrops growing, the little white heads. And notice how you feel as you sit in front of these snowdrops. Notice the response you get in your body and your being and your energy field to these snowdrops. And perhaps that feeling you're having is a feeling of care, of protection, of loving, of admiration, of course, because they're so beautiful. But also, I suspect you'll be feeling a sense of wanting to protect, wanting to nurture these beautiful flowers in front of you growing out of the snow. And there's nothing you need to do. It's completely effortless. You don't have to make an effort to do this. You can just feel this energy. It's a motherly, parental, fatherly, if you like, too, parental energy of caring, of fostering. So if it feels right for you, just allow this sense of fostering to flow through you. And sense yourself saying to the snowdrops, I want to care for you, I love you, I think you're beautiful. May you grow safely in this special place. And then just imagine that you're moving your hands forward and just touching them onto the snow, just beside either side of the snowdrops. You can feel the cold of the snow, really feeling refreshing. And just send your love from your heart down through your arms, through the palms of your hands, towards the tree. You might find the snow is just melting a wee bit. And just sense that love flowing into the snowdrops. And then you can allow yourself to bring that love up to your heart too, and just touch your heart with your palms. Feeling centered in yourself, you close your inner eyes, aware of the beauty around you, breathing in the magic of this place, the scent of the trees, and gradually you allow your awareness of the trees, of the sacred grove, of the snowdrops to fade, as you retain the feelings of well-being, of peace and calm within you. Slowly becoming aware of being seated in front of your computer or your tablet. Here, now. At this time of Imbolc in the northern hemisphere, Lunar in the southern hemisphere. And so, thank you for being here. Thank you for being. And again, there are bubbles coming up, little hearts and thumbs up. So I know you're there. This has never happened to me before, not being able to read the comments. So forgive me for not engaging with you in that way, but I just simply can't see any comments. And have a lovely evening and a wonderful week. And for whatever hope exists in your heart, do take this time to foster it. It feels like protecting a little flame. Sometimes hope is very small. It's like a little snowdrop flower. But just by taking a protective, nurturing, parental, caring approach towards it, you can gradually allow that flame to grow stronger. And as we go into March, April, and May, that flame will grow stronger and brighter. So much love and many blessings. Bye.